Thanks for staying with us. I'm Rebecca Powers, here with the wonderful team, Karen Stawicki and Samantha Irish of Compass Financial. And you created this show, Navigate Your Wealth, because I know you're so passionate about informing and educating. We were talking about the growing your assets phase, accumulation, and then when to take the money. Is the person who wins in the end the one who has the most money?
You know, a lot of people say the person with the biggest bag of money wins. You know what the problem with that scenario, though, is? Those dollars can be lost. They can be swindled. They can be lost in a market crash or decimated in a variety of different ways. So having a lot of money is not just the key. We have to make sure that we get, like, why do you get to retire? The only way you get to retire is when somebody is putting checks in your bank account that you right now are working for. That's right. I mean, that's really what it's all about. So when we sit down with our clients, we're trying to figure out what is the income we need to replace. And so an asset is just an asset until you give it a job description. Gotcha. And we've talked about that on other shows before. The job description, the money either needs to grow, it needs to provide income, or it needs to be liquid and available. But the distribution and income and the different things that are available are key. In fact, we've got a story that we love to tell.
Yeah, we have a colleague who talks about the difference in distribution, and he actually uses his own family. So he has his parents and their retirement scenario, and then he has his in-laws. So his parents worked in the education system their whole lives. They saved a little bit because they didn't have a ton of excess.
Rainy day.
Right.
And they're teachers, let's face it, they didn't make much money.
But they
had the pension.
They had a pension. So they accumulated a small amount of net worth, but they had their pension, and they didn't really account for their pension. On the flip side, he had his in-laws, and they worked in the corporate sector, they worked, in big businesses, and they contributed to everything. 401ks, IRAs, individual investments, and they grew their wealth so that when they retired, they would be confident that they could, live the retirement that they wanted. When it came time for distribution, his parents, who worked in education and had the pension, turned on their steady stream of income, and they never had to worry what was happening. They didn't have to worry about the market. They didn't have to worry about inflation because their pension gave them that guaranteed income month in and month out. They had their small other savings that they could use for fun vacations or spoiling the grandchildren. On the flip side, his in-laws, who grew this very large bag of money, happened to retire right when the market corrected. And it went down.
Is corrected a nice way of saying crash?
Yes.
Sorry, I don't know how positive they are, but anyway.
Exactly. The market crashed, and so did their assets. It went from a very large bag to a half the size bag.
And now that makes you sick
now
to
they
your
had to worry.
stomach.
Absolutely. They had to worry every day. Are we going to have enough? Are we going to live too long? Are we going to run out of money? And that is something we never, never, never want any of our clients to worry about. And you shouldn't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
You should not have to worry about it. If your assets are allocated and positioned properly, the first thing you want to do is figure out how much money do I need in retirement and fill that gap or fill that amount with guaranteed income. And again, guaranteed income only comes in three forms. Either you have a pension, like his parents, but not his in-laws were lucky enough to have, or you have Social Security, and the third is a guaranteed income annuity. And a lot of people give annuities a bad rap, but let me tell you what, it fills the gap, and it does exactly what the pension and Social Security are designed to do. Give you a paycheck every month like clockwork.
Let's talk, go ahead.
No,
I was going to ask you about that.
Say that, guaranteed income, sometimes we refer to it as promissory income. It's the income that is promised to you, and it will come. The problem with many retirements today is that they're built on a systematic withdrawal, which means that they're just withdrawing money, and they're hoping that they get a good rate of return so that when they make their withdrawal, they're not experiencing a negative in their portfolio.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
4% is supposed to be the bulletproof rate. So how did we come upon that? Well, there's something called the Monte Carlo analysis, and they've gone through and used hundreds of thousands of iterations to figure out if at 4% your plan will work. And the truth is they have calculated that 70 to 80% of the time that plan is going to work perfectly.
What about the other 20 or 30%?
Well,
think about that, because when you say 70 to 80%, sounds good. It sounds like, okay, 80%, that's pretty good. I'll take those odds. But let me put it in another light so that you can really understand what's happening. Rebecca, you have been so wonderful today. I am giving you a free ticket to Hawaii. Sounds like a good idea.
I'll take it.
You sit down on the airplane and the pilot comes on and says, ladies and gentlemen, we are headed for the West Coast. We're headed to Hawaii. We're so excited. We have a 70 to 80% chance of landing in Hawaii and not in the Pacific Ocean.
Everyone would
getting
get off
of the airplane.
I think I left something in the terminal. Excuse me.
Yeah, sorry, I don't feel so good.
So why is it that for a 9-hour flight, we're not willing to take a 20 to 30% risk?
Yeah.
But with a 30-year retirement, we think 70 to 80%?
Roll the dice.
It sounds good.
Wow. So do they take into account the inflation we're having now? The troubles we're having in the world, the bond market going down?
Well, those are the things that need to be considered today, but I want to back up. And I know that you said 40 years I've been doing this, and believe it or not, I have. In the 80s and 90s, all the market did was go up. It was a way more fun couple of decades to work in, right? I mean, my clients thought I was a genius, and I let them believe it. But in truth, the market was making 25% a year. And so we were actually doing 7% systematic withdrawals. I would set my client up. The portfolio was going to grow. We'd take 7% out. The portfolio would have increased. They'd say, can I have more? I'd say, sure. We'd take 7% of the new balance. They'd get that. They'd say, can I have more? I'd say, sure. And then when the market went down, I said, oh my goodness, we're going to have to back off that income. They're like, what are you talking about, Willis?
What you talking about, Willis? I'm used to having nice dinners every night.
Exactly. And so the problem when I hit that roadblock was, okay, I had to come up with a plan that allowed my clients to enjoy this lifestyle, to sleep at night without worrying about all these things, to combat inflation, to combat market risks, right, market volatility, without worrying about their income going all over the board.
So you just started getting different tools and realizing as an independent, that's another thing. We're going to take a very short break, but as independents, you can look at, it's like I say, if you go to a Ford dealership, you got to buy a Ford. They're not going to send you down the road to a Chevy.
No.
But if you go to just a dealer, they can look at all the different cars, right? Isn't that how you feel, that you've got all these wonderful tools?
We do. We have so many tools, and we want to share them with you. So if you pick up the phone now and call the number on your screen, 855-348-3073, we will build you your personalized retirement roadmap. We want to look at your tax burden analysis to understand the taxes you'll pay over your lifetime. We'll look at your Social Security analysis. We'll look at your risk analysis. We want to make sure that all of the things that you may need to worry about retirement are taken off the table. We want to put you back in control.
I love it. All right, stay with us. More with Compass Financial right after this.